and welcome to 28 Before 28, where I make 28 brews before my 28th birthday. And this is brew number 13. And the card that I'm working with is the Four of Cups. And it is a Moon in Cancer card. And I have a Moon in Cancer, and it was so interesting learning more about the Moon in Cancer from this card. It just gave such a great perspective. And the herb that I'm working with is NETTLE. So these are actually like, NETTLE is new for me. I have never ever worked with NETTLE before, so this was like a pretty new experience. And also it was just so interesting with the card and what was happening and all of that, and I will get into that. But first I just want to say I do have a link below in my description or in my bio, depending on where you're watching this. It is a donation link for a Sudanese-led humanitarian aid organization. Right now the response have been amazing in terms of like fundraising for Sudanese people and to help Sudanese people, so it's been really incredible. And I really just want to thank you all, whoever's donating. I don't know if people are actually using the link to donate. I've been there before, don't want to know, but whoever's donating, I just want to say thank you and to keep doing that. That's really what is needed right now, because we are at that stage. So if you can donate $1 or $2, please do, and keep eyes on Sudan. Let's get into this. So I've never worked with NETTLE before, okay? But the card that I got, the Four of Cups, I've got it actually in the past few days, where it was the uh election day, right? The election day in the US, and I was going through a lot, right, the past few days. So I decided to really just be like listening to my body. I always do, but I was like extra careful. So I was like giving myself, like, if you've watched my last video about my last card and the herb, like, I needed that, and that's just what was happening. So it continued. So it was so interesting trying to like watch the Four of Cups and see what it was about, in terms of like also what was happening in the outside world, right, and how I was responding to all of that. So it came in the midst of so many other things, right? But one thing I would say that I was doing, that I was like very clear of, is that how I was taking care of myself. And it was so funny. Not funny, but it was like one of those things where you're like, okay, I know I need to do this. So then I was like working out extra, like morning and night, right? I was making sure that I was drinking water, and I was drinking tea, and I was hydrating, and I was relaxed, and I wasn't scrolling, and all of the things. And I was just kind of like watching what was happening with my emotion. But it wasn't until like just before the results, I decided to like, okay, get up and start like working out. I took me a little Eddie, you know what I mean? And it's been a while. If you know, if you don't know, it's been a minute for me. So whenever I take one, I make sure that I am breathing, like I am like hyper aware of my body. So I try to channel that energy in like my body, and release the tension, release the stress, release all of the things, right? So as I was releasing, as I was self-regulating, I was watching a Twitch stream. I was watching Hassan Piker's Twitch stream, and it was just so fucking surreal, because until that moment, until the announcement of Zohra Mamdani being like the New York mayor, I like something in me, like I was excited, and then I realized that, oh, so much is trying to be expressed right now. And next thing you know, I was going from happy to like I am relieved. I was relieved, and that's something that I didn't realize that I was holding my breath to. Like I was not breathing until then, and then I was like, oh, like breathing now is so much easier. And these are the things where like sometimes you're just going about your day in life, you know, and stuff like that, and you're feeling all of these things, and your body's like, oh my god, I'm on overdrive, and you're doing the thing, right? Like I'm working out, I'm relaxing, I'm eating, I'm drinking, I'm doing what I know I need to do, but then it's because of the situation that I'm in, you know what I mean? So until that moment, that's when I like finally like took a breath, and I like slowly was like coming back to my body full force, and then I started crying because I've been here before, in that moment of like hope, right? Resiliency, seeing the work actually working, right? And this time, not only is it the work actually working, it is documented, right? And I live in the US. This affects me in so many ways, but also I don't think the implications of this is monumental, because we are all going through the same thing. We are united in our pain and grief. It is not unique to us. That whatever's happening is happening everywhere. It affects us all. It's all interconnected. So having that win, it felt like a shift, right? And that shift reminded me of a time in Sudan when that exact thing was happening, when first of all, when we all came together and we were protesting, right? And then when it came to like, oh, people actually coming up with like, okay, we have a representative. Oh, there is a crew that is already like planning towards there are spokespeople. And then it's like, you're like motivated because you're like, oh, like, this is it. Like, let's keep the momentum going. And I felt that, right? But also there was the grief part of it. And I think it's like messy. Also, on top of all of this, it was also a full moon. Let's be real, like the universe was universing, right? And the world was worlding. That's kind of how I put it. So all of this happening, and I am a Cancer moon, and with the Cancer moon card, like with the Four of Cups, the Four of Cups is like it's an overflow to the extent of stagnation, right? It pours all the way until it pools, right? So it's like, and then there's like all these roots, right? So there's history, there's it's not just like, oh, one time thing. I'm like, no, there's history in this. I've been here before. This is what happened, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. So then there's the grief of like, I've been here before and we did something, and I wish the world witnessed it, right? Because the lack of footage, the lack of exposure was systematic, was intentional. So being able to experience change happening in the US right now as I am here is very different. I am not a huge part of it in terms of like, there's so many things I can't do. I can't vote. You know what I mean? So that is different, but that does not mean I don't care or that it doesn't affect me. It affects me. It does, it does, it does. You know what I mean? So I can't live oblivious to it. So going through all of that, I realized that when you like, I almost could not go into despair of like the fear of like, what if it turned out like Sudan? It's a possibility, but that's not where I want to be, because the joy of that change is possible, that this is actually like available to us, right, is way more monumental. And it was so much easier for me to step into that fully emotionally and the experience of it and be in that over be in despair and grief, because that I know, that I try to step away from, not because it's not like step away from like I don't want to feel it, but I do feel it, but I don't try to like sit in it. And what is this card? Like I said, it says it pours and then it pools. And that's the thing, is that sometimes there's an overwhelm of something, right? There's an overwhelm of anxiety yesterday. I literally went back to last year, same like the November 5th. Same thing. That day I also took an Eddie. I also started baking cookies. I had a friend over. I was also watching Hassan Piker. And you know what I mean? Because that is something collectively people are like, the same way I'm feeling, I know other people are feeling it. And I want people who are in that kind of like mode. And it was very, very dark for me. And I'm just like, this is scary, right? But I'm not here to fearmonger, but you should be scared. You know what I mean? Like, it's life, like how, anyways. So yesterday it was that, but there was the optimism, there's the hope, and that's what kind of like what I was like in it. And I was like, okay, let it flow, but don't get too stuck in it, because now there's work to do. So when it came to like, now there's work to do, I think this is the nettle energy. And I was reading about nettle, and I just think it was like, I was like, oh my god, please help me, save me, protect me, you know what I mean? But basically the thing about the nettle is that okay, first of all, so in the description here, it says that it is healing, it is warding, it is protection, it's a jinx breaker, and it's about consecration, right? And I think just even within the words, if you think about healing, for example, what I learned about nettle is that when it's like fresh nettle growing, it stings. So you have to be like super super delicate with the way you handle it. And isn't that such a cancer situation? You know what I mean? Cancer crab stings. It stings. It has pinchers. You know what I mean? I was like, hell yeah, it stings, but you gotta treat me delicately. So you have to treat it very delicately. And the healing aspect of it is that it helps you reclaim your power after emotional burnout. And I think that was so monumental because I think in that moment, what, like after the results came, you realize just how burnt out we all are. Like I was so freaking burnt out because I've also been in a situation where I'm just like, I just had it enough with work. I just do not think we're meant to work the way we are. And after coming back into it, it does not make sense to me. And I cannot, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And that's just it, period, blank. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So it's not making sense to me right now. So anything that is like in my body is like basically I'm like, no, we gotta do something. I have to do something. If it doesn't make sense, I gotta change things, you know? And you know, cancer is all about change, but it's really hard for cancer to change. It's all about change, but it holds on with those pinchers. It like, you know what I mean? It holds on. So the healing aspect of it is that you reclaim your power after emotional burnout. I felt like that's what happened with like the winning of Zora Mamdani, is that it gave me that, like I was like, oh my god, yes, hope, optimism, like our power is back. We can make, you know, we can do this. We can we're part of this change. You know, so I felt like the nettle was like perfect for that. Also, the thing about warding, if we think about it, cancer's thing is all about boundaries. It has a shell, right? It's very hard shell, and it's like, no, you cannot come into here. This is like the inner part of me is the softest part, is what I am trying to protect, right? So when I think about it in terms of warding, I think about it is like it's about setting emotional and energetic boundaries to be like, this is what I can give. This is where I'm at. This is my limitation here, you know. Another thing was said about protection, and then that's the part where, you know, you protect yourself, but you also protect the outside world from your pinchers. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. It's like I'm protecting myself because I know my limit, but when my limits are not being respected or my boundaries are not being respected, I'm pinching. Um, the Jinx Breaker situation, it's about, okay, transmuting the energy. I think because cancer really feels things, you gotta do thing with that. You babe, remember the thing about it pulls? It pulls. It's now stagnant. So you gotta do something. And what does the moon do? Does every 2.5 days or 3 days it changes. So you're in a constant cycle of something new and stuff like that over and over and over and over again. So you got to be able to move that so that the new can come, and move that so that the new can come, and move that so that the new can come. And that is like, that is part of this energy. So nettle, so with this stagnation, with the four, it's like overflow of emotions, overflow of energy, and then it stagnates, right? But it's like, what do you do with it? Nettle actually speeds up the process, right? Nettle is like, okay, let's do some work. It's all about vitality. It's all about circulation, right? It's all about flow. So it's like, okay, let's do something with this, right? Let's move the irritation. So it allows your body to kind of like relaxes, and also nourish itself. And what does cancer need? It needs nourishment. It needs deep like nourishment. Like it needs the water. It needs it needs the presence of like care. Um and then lastly, it's also grounding. I think nettle has such an earth energy, while cancer is such a moon energy, but it's like it's the tides, you know what I mean? So it needs the earth to hold it. And that's what this nettle does. It grounds you so that you have like you are in your body's in the physical world, right? Not like overwhelmed like with the water, right? You're not drowning. You're not, you know what I mean? You're grounded. It helps you to kind of like feel the emotions here. Because where do we live? In the physical world. So it's about bringing you down, holding you down, and then allowing you to kind of nourish yourself here in this world. So that's kind of what I've been like seeing with the two. So let's start our tea, because I'm excited for this tea because I've been needing it, honestly. Like after like the results yesterday, I just realized just how freaking like dry I was. Like my body was dry, and I was just like, why is my body so dry? You know what I mean? Like I was burnt out. Like I felt like also like Mars being in Sagittarius, it's hot. You know what I mean? Like everything, I feel like I'm just evaporating. But yeah, so I've been nourishing myself, drinking so much tea, drinking a lot of water, and just making sure that I am being taken care of. Because the new is coming. Oh my god, you guys have no idea what's coming. And I, like this time, of course, like it came through, you know, I just need to chill out. And like that, that's a big one for me. Like I need to chill out. And I realized that I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing in life has to be surrounding me chilling a fuck out. And if this isn't such a Cancer fucking life, maybe like chilling, being at home, like trying to make something from here, from my spot, from my coziness. That's all I've been doing. So I've then been able to kind of like move the energy now, and I'm putting it somewhere. And because of that, I was so inspired. I was so inspired yesterday because you need that inspiration. You need an inspiration that moves you from the inside. You know what I mean? Like you need that, because yesterday after watching Hassan's stream also just gave me such an inspiration in the work that he's doing. I've been watching Hassan for like 3 years now, right? And I love watching him because he's so real. He's just a dude who's doing the work, and he's telling people to do the work, and people are responding, right? So being able to experience his streams and watching just someone doing his thing and it actually having result is such a motivation, because sometimes it's like people don't see the work, right? People just see the fucking end goal, and I think that's what we need to step away from, right? But I'm I'm getting there. But I am just allowing everything to kind of like settle exactly where it needs to be, and move things as they come and not try to rush the process, because this is a long process. So this tea now, like, it sets me back to the idea that there could be an overwhelm of emotions that you end up in apathy. We've all been there, especially if you've been depressed, you know what I mean? Like you end up in that route. But there's also another option, which is to make use of that overwhelm to let it flow into something that you actually want, something that moves you, right? And that is something that I have to like constantly be aware of as someone who's like super sensitive, is that I am constantly receiving shit all the motherfucking time. I'm just receiving. And the issue isn't about receiving. That's just my build. But I just need to be able to release it. That's really what I need to do, is release. So yesterday I was able to do that. I was able to release it, but also I was able to put that energy into something where I'm like, okay, this helps me keep going, and that's what I'm about to do. And this tea is like, the nettle is like perfect energy, perfect kind of herb to sit with, because it literally allows you to do that, right? It's also an antioxidant. It helps you with your inflammation, right? It's all about grounding you, and it also about clearing, right? It's about clearing what is needed to be cleared out. And yeah, that's it. So I'm really excited to sit with this tea again. I've already had this tea, but I'm having it again because I'm like, I need more of it. I'm not done with the energy yet. So yeah, That's what's happening. So let's see. Ooh, she's ready. So this is my 13th brew before my 20th birthday. I love you guys, and until next time.